The apartheid system in South Africa was a legally enforced policy of racial segregation and discrimination, whereby the white minority ruled over the black majority. This led to the emergence of a liberation hero, Nelson Mandela. His journey from rural activist to the first black president of South Africa is a modern-day epic. Mandela's life is a beacon of inspiration, teaching us that true leadership lies in empowering others. Mandela's journey was not one of privilege. Born and grew up during the apartheid period, he joined the ANC, leading to the formation of Umkhonto we Sizwe. Even after 27 years in prison, Mandela emerged as a symbol of hope and reconciliation. Mandela's story begins in the rural heartland of South Africa. Born in Mvezo, his early life was steeped in Thembu traditions. His childhood, filled with cultural heritage, laid the foundation for his future activism. At 9, Mandela's life changed with his father's death. Moving to Qunu, he was exposed to leadership and political consciousness. These experiences ignited his future activism. Mandela's education exposed him to racial segregation. At Fort Hare, his political activism took shape. Expelled for protests, his commitment to justice solidified. In 1948, apartheid deepened segregation in South Africa. Mandela, witnessing this, joined the ANC's resistance. Inspired by Gandhi, he initially committed to non-violent protest. Mandela's leadership qualities shone as apartheid tightened its grip. He co-founded South Africa's first black law firm, challenging discriminatory laws. The Defiance campaign showcased his strategic brilliance. The Sharpeville massacre was a turning point. Mandela co-founded Umkhonto we Sizwe, embracing armed resistance. Arrested in 1964, his speech from the dock became a rallying cry. Mandela was sentenced to life imprisonment in 1964. On Robben Island, he faced harsh conditions designed to break spirits. Despite this, Mandela remained a symbol of resistance and hope. The years on Robben Island were marked by monotony and hardship. Days blurred into weeks, weeks into months, and months into years. Each one an agonizing reminder of the freedom Mandela and his comrades had been denied. Yet even within the confines of their cells, the spirit of resistance flickered. The prisoners, forbidden from speaking to each other during work hours, found ways to communicate through coded messages, tapping on walls and pipes, using gestures and facial expressions. They held secret study groups, sharing smuggled books and newspapers, discussing politics, philosophy and history, nurturing their minds even as their bodies were subjected to the rigors of prison life. Mandela, despite being denied access to formal education materials, became a voracious reader, devouring books on law, history, politics and philosophy. He committed poetry to memory, reciting verses to himself and his fellow prisoners, finding solace and inspiration in the words of others who had endured hardship and oppression. He understood that knowledge was power, and he was determined to use his time in prison to arm himself and his comrades with the intellectual tools they would need to rebuild their country once they were free. The prison, intended to be a place of silence and submission, became an unlikely schoolhouse, with Mandela as its most dedicated student and teacher. Education behind bars, a beacon in the dark. Mandela recognized the importance of education, not just for himself, but for all political prisoners. He believed that education was essential for their rehabilitation and their ability to contribute to a future democratic South Africa. He argued tirelessly with the prison authorities for better educational opportunities for prisoners, often facing resistance and punishment for his efforts. Despite the restrictions, Mandela and his comrades managed to establish a makeshift University of Robben Island within the prison walls. They organized study groups, shared books and knowledge, and mentored each other. Mandela, with his legal background, taught his fellow prisoners about law and human rights, while others shared their expertise in politics, history, and economics. The thirst for knowledge extended beyond the prison walls. Mandela encouraged his family and friends to send him books and educational materials, and he corresponded with academics and intellectuals around the world, engaging in debates and discussions that kept his mind sharp and his spirit alive. He understood that the struggle against apartheid was not just a physical one, but an intellectual one as well. He knew that to dismantle the system of racial oppression, they needed to challenge the ideas and beliefs that underpinned it. The unbreakable spirit forging unity in isolation. Mandela's resilience in the face of adversity was truly remarkable. He endured years of solitary confinement, back-breaking labour in the quarry, and the constant psychological torture inflicted by his jailers. Yet he never allowed himself to be defined by his circumstances. He refused to be broken by the system that sought to crush his spirit. He understood that his imprisonment was not just about him, but about the millions of South Africans who were denied their basic human rights. He knew that his actions, even within the confines of prison, had the power to inspire hope and to keep the flame of resistance burning bright. Mandela's commitment to dialogue and reconciliation was evident even within the prison walls. He made a conscious effort to build relationships with his jailers, treating them with respect and dignity, engaging them in conversations about their lives and families. He understood that they too were products of the apartheid system, and that true reconciliation could only come through understanding and empathy. His efforts at bridge building were met with suspicion by some of his comrades, who saw it as a sign of weakness or compromise. But Mandela believed that to build a new South Africa, they needed to find a way to move beyond the bitterness and hatred that had defined their past. He believed that forgiveness while not forgetting the past was essential for healing and progress. A nation holds its breath. As the 1980s ended, the world watched South Africa with hope and trepidation. The dismantling of apartheid felt possible. International pressure and sanctions mounted. The struggle against apartheid intensified. The ANC operated underground, spreading its message. Trade unions and student groups mobilized. Nelson Mandela's name echoed through the streets. Mandela, a global icon, remained imprisoned. Behind prison walls, negotiations began. F.W. de Klerk realized apartheid was unsustainable. Talks with Mandela began, exploring a peaceful transition. The Walk to Freedom, Stepping into History. February 11th, 1990. The date is seared into the memory of South Africans and etched into the annals of history. On that day, after 27 years of imprisonment, Nelson Mandela walked free. The world held its breath as the gates of Victor Verster prison swung open and a tall, dignified figure emerged, hand in hand with his wife, Winnie. Millions around the world watched on television, their hearts pounding with a mixture of disbelief and elation. The man who had become a symbol of hope for so many, who had endured the unimaginable with grace and fortitude, was finally free. Mandela's release was not just a personal triumph. It was a watershed moment in South Africa's history, a testament to the power of collective action and the unwavering belief in the possibility of a better future. It marked the beginning of the end of apartheid, the start of a long and arduous journey towards healing, reconciliation, and the creation of a new South Africa. The images of that day remain etched in our collective memory. Mandela, raising his fist in a gesture of defiance and triumph, his face beaming with a smile that seemed to encompass the hopes and dreams of an entire nation. The cheers of the crowd gathered outside the prison, a sea of humanity united in celebration, their voices carrying the message of freedom to every corner of the globe. Mandela's release marked a new era. Despite challenges, he championed dialogue and reconciliation. In 1994, South Africa held its first democratic elections. Mandela became the first black president, symbolizing a new era of equality. He established the Truth and Reconciliation Commission to heal the nation. Nelson Mandela's life story is a testament to the power of forgiveness, a virtue often misunderstood as weakness or surrender. Mandela understood that true forgiveness is not about forgetting the past or condoning injustice. It is about acknowledging the pain and suffering inflicted, while choosing to break the cycle of hatred and revenge. His decision to embrace reconciliation rather than retribution after 27 years of imprisonment was an act of extraordinary courage and moral leadership. He recognized that true justice could not be achieved through vengeance, that building a new South Africa required confronting the demons of the past while extending a hand of friendship to those who had once been his oppressors. Mandela's commitment to forgiveness was not a sign of naivete or weakness. It was a strategic choice, rooted in his deep understanding of human nature and his unwavering belief in the possibility of redemption. He knew that true healing could only come from acknowledging the shared humanity of both the oppressed and the oppressor, from creating a space where dialogue and understanding could flourish. His willingness to engage with his former jailers, to listen to their stories, and to acknowledge their humanity was an essential step in the long and arduous process of national reconciliation. It was through these acts of courage and compassion that Mandela helped to lay the foundation for a new South Africa. One where the wounds of the past could begin to heal, and a shared future could be built on a foundation of mutual respect and understanding. Nelson Mandela's legacy extends far beyond the borders of South Africa. His life story is a beacon of hope for oppressed people around the world, a testament to the power of resilience, determination, and the unwavering belief in the possibility of a better future. Mandela's message is as relevant today as it was during his lifetime. In a world often consumed by division, conflict, and injustice, his life story reminds us that even in the face of seemingly insurmountable odds, the human spirit can prevail. It teaches us that change is possible, that even the most deeply entrenched systems of oppression can be dismantled, and that ordinary people, armed with courage and conviction, can make an extraordinary difference. Mandela's legacy is not just about celebrating his achievements, it's about embracing the challenges he faced and carrying his torch forward. It's a call to action for each of us to examine our own lives, to confront injustice wherever we find it, and to use our voices and our actions to create a more just and equitable world. It's about recognizing that the struggle for freedom and equality is ongoing, and that we all have a role to play in building a future where Mandela's dream of a rainbow nation, a world free from poverty, discrimination and oppression, can become a reality for all. Mandela showed us that it is possible to emerge from the depths of despair, to transform hatred into hope, and to inspire millions to believe in the power of unity and reconciliation. Nelson Mandela's journey was one of extraordinary resilience, unwavering hope, and an unshakable belief in the power of the human spirit. He emerged from an apartheid prison as a beacon of hope, a symbol of reconciliation for a nation yearning for change. His legacy lives on in the hearts and minds of countless individuals around the globe. It serves as a constant reminder that one person's courage can change the course of history. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, comment and subscribe to our channel, Time Travels Chronicles-X.